hiring season. So we've started recruiting. We have our early childhood assistant principal position, supporting preschool, Buckeye, and Melridge that we're going to start interviews on at the end of this week. Got a good handful of candidates for that. And then we've also posted an anticipated assistant principal here at the high school. We'll see what grade level, depending on experience, that comes in. Right now I know we have set grades, but we'll see what we can move around what Mr. Hall would like to do. So that's open. Gonna leave it open. It may be open through spring break, just to get some candidates keep coming in.
Are these like posted for internal first and then? No, just
external.
We interview internal if they're properly certified.
Oh, okay, all right, sounds great. Are you getting candidates?
Yeah.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
this is good, I was worried.
Oh,
no. Especially with the preschool.
Yeah, the preschool's getting a lot of trouble. I mean, there's, the way we wrote it too, there's a lot of assistant elementary positions.
Yeah, right.
I think we're gonna be able to find a really good one.
Awesome,
That's
wonderful.
exciting.
Not really sure where we're headed. We don't anticipate any teacher vacancies that we haven't already discussed. Haven't gotten any new information or surprises, so just working through the moves at Buckeye, Melridge, and Lamouth with the grade level changes. So we continue to kind of plan as a staff where we're headed, who's certified for what, and that everybody fits.
Fabulous.
Had the state flex the, you know how it was strictly certain categories, but did they flex like what you could teach and what your certification is?
They don't flex subject areas, they flex grade levels.
Grade levels,
So
okay.
you can go 2 grade levels above or below
Okay.
for a couple of years, but they are not flexible with the categories.
Okay, all right.
And then as we move ahead, looking for summer planning, I've been working with Mr. Arlesic. We are putting together a kind of a survey of interest for anyone that's currently employed by the district that may be interested in extra summer work or summer hours. This would be anyone that doesn't have a 12-month contract. So putting it out there if they want to work at their own buildings that they're already located at, just doing various custodial duties around campus. Helps his team then to be able to focus on these big moves that we have and kind of the deep cleaning that happens over summer. Our proposal on that, we're going to put it out again internally to all current staff, and it would be offered at $17.48 an hour. That's a current custodial step 0.
Great. Do you employ any like high school or college kids on like, you know, just lawn cutting, that kind of stuff?
We have in years past, and I believe Mr. Arlesic has his group that that do come back every year for him.
Okay.
In years past, we've also had Riverside students, current students, even more recent grads join us. This year, we're just gonna focus on the staff hours.
All right, got it.
And then similar to that, other programs that run over summer, we have Latchkey Camp. So registration for that is done, closed, and full within an hour.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding
You
me.
say support.
Julie does an amazing job.
She does.
An hour? Oh, that's so
Within an hour.
It's 3 field trips a week, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably more economical
My
than
kids when
some
they
of
were
the
little like
camps.
wanted to, like I stayed home and they were like, can I go? I'm like, no.
So staffing that is what we focus on now. Similarly, Julie has a group of staff that a lot of it, I'd say probably about half of her current Latchkey staff do staff and support summer camp, and then we have a lot of education, people that are interested in education, college students that do come and help. We're going to be putting out a posting. I believe she's looking just for a few more, not a lot, maybe 5 or less people. Looking for alternate. She does run a couple different shifts because they start so early. They're from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So she gives people some flexibility to still have time off over summer in that regard. We'll be posting those out. We're not changing the pay rates. Latchkey is one of our exempt staff groups, so they'll be going out $12.50 an hour for any new counselors. So these are people kind of supervising the kids. $13 an hour for returning counselors. They've done it before, camp counselor. And then $14 an hour for the coordinators. The coordinators are the people that do the morning check-ins, make sure parents are signing in, signing out, and that they're paid up for the week.
And is this at every building in the summer?
It's only at Riverview.
Riverview.
So the whole group goes to Riverview.
Okay.
And then the last group that hits the ground pretty hard over summer, especially this summer, is technology. With Vocera coming in projects, they have a lot of updates they need to do in every building. Working on Wi-Fi points, I was told they'll also be switching out computers district-wide, just getting everybody upgraded. Similar, Mr. Renwick has a group of students that come back, typically college students that are interested and have done the work before. Last year, I believe we kept the rate similar to our summer classified workers. They are an exempt group of staff, so we like to mirror them after latchkey. Doing anyone new coming in at $12.50 an hour and anyone that's done the work before is a group at $13.
Could we maybe put on our radar, looking at upgrading the Wi-Fi at the house
Yes,
this summer? Because if we're gonna start to really think about putting people over there, because we're gonna put the coaches over there, the instructional coaches at offices, and as we start to, you know what I mean, to free up some offices space in the buildings. I think,
John was really gonna run fiber to the house,
Yeah.
and we weren't sure what we were exactly doing at
Yeah.
the time, so it was kind of a temporary thing they did. It was only meant to have
The house.
right,
2 people in
yeah.
there, now we're gonna have a lot more, so.
Yeah, so can we put that on our radar? I don't know if it's, this is the right committee, if we need to go through buildings and grounds, but somehow I wanna make sure we get that, just talking about, get that on.
I think it's on John's radar, but let's maybe talk
Okay.
to John first and see.
Maybe we
I'm
talk
not sure
about it
what
today.
I'm not sure what the cost of that is.
Okay, thank you.
And then our school psychologist, we posted to bring the ones that we currently have to apply to bring them in-house in the district. So they've typically been contracted through the ESC. I believe we work with 2 ESCs on their contracts. Bringing them into the district just makes them, it's more marketable for them. It's a benefit. They're on our salary scale. We're working with our LEA to finalize an MOU.
There's an MOU on the agenda, actually, this tomorrow.
So we've conducted our internal interviews and some external interviews. We have good candidates for all of those, so we're excited to move forward. Most likely we'll have those hires on our April agenda.
Okay.
And then other items you will see on the agenda, I know some of the trips are coming up. I think we have the 7th grade trip is on there. And then we have outdoor camp. So you'll see some of the outdoor camp people and our programs coming in May. That's it for person.
Fabulous.
Alright, so we'll move in the board agenda review. Looks like a lot on the agenda. It's mostly routine stuff, a couple different things on it. So, we have our monthly approval of the financial reports as always. The second thing on the finance agenda is the resolution accepting amounts and rates. And this is a resolution that comes from the county every March of every year after they approve our tax budget and just reconfirming our tax rates. And it's an annual routine that we do. Then we have the grant acceptance, which is the $2.5 million career tech grant. So that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's the approve a purchase order with the Iowa Auditor State Local Government Services for financial statements compilation. We use local government services every year to do our annual financial gap statements. So we're just continuing that engagement. There's a little bit of cost increase just because there's some new GASB bulletins and some different things we have to. There's 2 more items on the agenda, E and F, which are regarding NeoNet, which is will be our new ITC. Every school district has an ITC. They basically use an ITC that supports their accounting software, EMIS services, and various other things. We do our internet access to them as well. And we're currently with LGCA. They're merging into NeoNet effective July 1st. So we have to approve the agreement to be a member of NeoNet and also a new internet agreement. And we're upgrading our bandwidth from 1 gigabit to 10.
To 10. That's gonna help with Vocera coming through, because Vocera travels the Wi-Fi, so.
So that's.
Yeah, the new Chromebooks,
I'm gonna get to that.
oh, you're gonna get to, okay.
Then there's just our quarterly PO to Colonial Oil for fuel for buses. Then there's a frontline absence and time solution. This is the ASOP system we use for substitute hiring. And then there's the time clock systems all together in one bundle now, so that's on the agenda. And then we have our annual Chromebook purchase, which we're actually going through NeoNet because apparently they had a group purchasing power, and so they're a little bit cheaper through NeoNet than if we go to CDWG or somewhere else.
They're $20 cheaper, I think, for that.
It ended up only being $1 cheaper.
Oh, is it
because
$1 cheaper?
The original
Okay.
quote we got for Chromebook, that model is no longer available, so we had to get new quotes. But they're still, they're surprisingly nice.
And where are those going to, or who's?
There's a replacement cycle.
Yeah.
I see.
I think they go.
First and second.
Yeah.
So it's a replacement.
I asked John to confirm, and I forgot what Mike remembers, because we basically do that every year,
Okay.
outward bound. Because prior to having our own tech staff, it was kind of piecemeal and not a good cycle, and now we're on a
Like
true cycle.
buses.
So it should be similar to each year.
Okay.
And it's surprising the price is pretty similar to what it's been the last couple of years, so.
Really, they haven't gone out that much, really?
Yeah, Chromebooks are
That's
still.
interesting. Good.
It's $208 for a Chromebook. And
Really?
then $30 for the Google Chromebook license.
Okay.
During COVID, they spiked a little bit.
Yeah.
They came back down. because nobody needed programs. And we have a few then now certificates that we always have where there's some purchases that didn't have a PO in place. We have a couple donations on here, routine ones. And then there's a fee approval. We board approve all fees, but there's a new one. It's for a course. So basically, students who want to accelerate over the summer, there's a math course, pre-algebra course they can take. Typically in the past, we've gone through the ESC, the Western Reserve, they would just pay them directly and didn't involve us per se, but now we're going through the Jefferson County ESC, and it's cheaper for the student if we pay for it and they reimburse us for it, because it's $100 cheaper, so it's just a little more work on our end, but it saves those students $100.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a pain to do that. And just to clarify, it's not a course they can take, it's a course they have to take. So it's kids who are moving from 7th grade regular math to Algebra 1 honors over here. So they're going from a regular math class to an honors class, which means that they're missing all of 8th grade math. So in order to make that jump, they have to take this class and they have to score at a certain level. Otherwise, they're missing all of that instruction. So that's where it comes from.
Okay.
So that's the items on the consent agenda. There is a separate item on the agenda for commercial valuation increase complaint, and I'll go to that here in a few minutes. As Chris mentioned, we have the MOU for the psychologist under the personnel agenda. And then everything under the buildings and grounds was discussed in that committee. And I sent an email about the OFCC master plan, because that's kind of confusing, because we're board approving a revised plan that included the plan we already had in ballot in 2022, but it's more for closeout from phase 1 from 2000.
It's the most recent plan, because we don't have a plan.
Yeah.
So that's the one.
It's not like, hey, we're committing to this plan going forward, the ship had already sailed, so it's kind of just routine matters. And I was kind of confused, and they sent people, we need to do this because you're closing out phase 1. And so
Glad we're finally closing out phase 1.
Yeah.
yeah, the 3-year kiln install.
Crazy.
It took longer to install the kilns than it did to design and build the
Yeah.
two schools, so.
Yeah.
That's something else.
And then then I had to report all these expenditures to the OFCC, and it's like, okay, we're across 2 accounting systems now, because we switched from the classic system to redesign. Then trying to go through 6 years of history and making sure we captured everything was a bit of a challenge. But, so
And you mentioned something about, is this connected to like there's supposed to be a rebate back on something?
yeah, because we're in what's called the expedited local partnership plan. So basically, it's a plan by the OFCC that allows districts to move forward with their facilities plan. The typical program is called CFAP, Classroom Facilities Systems Program, something like that. They rank districts 1 to 609 based on their tax valuation per pupil. We're always in the what used to be 550, now we're in like 520 range. And they're only in the 300s right now as far as funding school districts. So like Angel City, when their number came up on the list, they were obviously, I think over 50, you know, they were one of the early ones. And the state, you know, obviously provided the funds at the time, under ELP, basically they're providing the funds. We're responsible for 90%, the state's responsible for 10%, but until we qualify for funding, they don't give it to us, so we have a credit basically for when we
Okay,
get
good.
this list.
And like, do you know the ballpark figure of what that credit?
They say within the 10 years, but they also said that 15 years ago, so.
Yeah,
it's-
we've been waiting for 10 years for,
Yeah, it's-
That's-
it's still long as 10 years.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
it's probably another 10
Wow.
years, I don't know, it's,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So the commercial increase complaint that you see on the agenda, so just a little history. So typically school districts, they monitor sales of properties and ensure that properties are being valued at the proper amount. You know, what's the best way to determine the value of a property is when it sells. And some districts do this on residential sales, which we don't do, we've never done, we don't go after sales. We do, I forget what it's called, but when someone files a complaint against their valuation, we do, our attorney does attend those type of hearings just to monitor it, but as far as actually filing an increased complaint, it's usually only done on commercial properties. And a couple of years ago, there was a legislation called House Bill 126 that basically limited school districts' abilities to do that. Typically, school districts have always done it as opposed to townships and libraries and stuff, because we get the larger portion of the property tax revenue. They changed the law so it has to be at least a $500,000 increased complaint in order for us to file those going forward, and also has to be board approved at a public meeting. You have to give a notice to the property owners 7 days in advance. I think it's basically so they can come yell at us if that's my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, you know, you have House Bill 920, which is legalization of taxes. So if someone's underpaying on their value, what does that mean? Everybody else is making up the difference. And, you know, with us, with a substitute levy and a bond issue levy, that has the same tax rate across all 3 classes. So if a commercial property is paying too low, it's really affecting all taxpayers, including residential and commercial taxpayers. Now, it's probably at the end of the day, it's not a substantial amount of money to everybody else, but at the same time, it's more paying a fair share. You know, obviously, if the increase goes through, we receive the inside millage and everything else equals out. So they call it chasing sales. It's kind of like the negative connotation to it, I guess, but it's something that school districts have done forever, because the county auditor's office, they don't do that. They wait till the 6-year reappraisal to really reappraise property. So sometimes it could be 6 years before it's really looked at. So basically, the parcel, it's a parcel in Painesville City that falls within our district, it's commercial property, and it's valued at, I don't know, I lost it. The property owner is DWG Capital Partners, which is some firm out in California or something that purchases property. The county auditor has it valued at $1,952,000, and it's sold in December of 2022 for $4.1 million. So it's a 2.1.
We were like, what?
So it's a $2.1 million difference between what the county auditor has it valued
Yeah.
and what it's sold for. So we are filing an increased complaint on that, and then it'll go, they'll evaluate that.
Where is it at, Gary?
It's on Calendar Boulevard, which is like a industrial area, like by Luberzall and those things.
Okay, that's what, I just wondered what area it was in.
Do you feel that with this reevaluation, because you mentioned the 6-year, that that's going to increase activity because everybody's values are going up, and probably many over 500?
Well, in this case, it's based on sales.
So it's just based on sales, so it actually has to be sales, not
Yeah.
appraisal? Okay.
Right. the whole reappraisal process is handled through the county auditor's
Okay.
office. And
Alright.
So this is more, this is more of an annual thing that's done looking at sales of commercial property.
Yeah,
And
got
that, we don't do residential property.
Okay. Well, yeah, you said that unless, I thought you said unless it's over 500, but no.
Only for, no, only,
Isn't the difference is 500?
the difference has to be
The
$500.
The difference has to be
In order for
500.
us to file.
Got it, okay,
On commercial property.
okay. Yeah.
Any other questions on that? That's done by our attorney under the monthly retainer, so it's not like additional legal expense we have.
Okay, and then any updates on the mentor owned property there?
See,
Is that
you- you-
next?
you're-
Oh, next one, I didn't read down.
Next
Bottom.
one.
She wants to keep
We're on the
things
same-
moving along. I fully support that, by the
Same.
way.
Sorry, I
Green
didn't
text
read
from
the
work already.
She didn't
agenda.
realize it was on the agenda.
No, that's
We're on the
perfect.
same
Keep
wavelength
moving,
right now.
Gary.
Yeah.
It'd be Skippy.
Yeah, so the city of Mentor tax exemption update, so just a little background, that's the property over at the corner of 44 and Route 2. It's in the city of Painesville. It was acquired by the city of Mentor from Shamrock Business Center or something like that, I forget what it's called, it's the Osborne family. And basically they foreclosed, they didn't do the road improvements to Diamond Center that they were supposed to do. There's been an ongoing legal dispute between the city of Mentor and them. Part of the settlement was the city of Mentor acquired 215 acres of vacant land. Basically to pay for road improvements on Diamond Center. The city of Mentor filed for tax exemption on the property and saying that they're using it for conservation purposes. Obviously, that results in a loss of revenue to us on the inside millage, and then obviously increased taxes to other taxpayers because of that. And the city of Painesville is upset about it because they want to develop the property. Mentor had a resolution to reaffirm the conservation land, deeming as conservation land in Painesville City. And we went and spoke at their meetings, trying to encourage them to not approve that, and they went ahead and they approved it after the third reading. If you have some free time to watch their last meeting, I wasn't able to attend that one, but they actually went into all the history of the property, and it was interesting to watch because like it seemed like their law director was taking it personal, and he was very angry about it. It seemed like, obviously we've filed an appeal to the tax exemption. We have a hearing scheduled in May in Columbus. Basically, it's one thing. We feel it's unique because it's land that's not in their own city. It's in the neighboring city. And, they're saying they're using it for conservation, and they're really just blocking development of that property.
Yeah, but it can be litigated, you're going through the process, but,
Yeah, it goes, I think, to the tax commissioner's hearing process that we go to. We filed that appeal a while ago, and now we're hearing the time.
okay. And Painesville City is on board with this as well, or? are
Oh,
they-
yeah. We're
yes.
actually meeting with them the first week of April, just
Okay.
to talk it through, to make sure that
Right,
we have everything.
yeah, because we did have a resident that emailed, but, yeah, you're on that, all right. Definitely worth pursuing.
Just want to briefly mention, so we have an executive session on the board agenda tomorrow to talk about negotiations and with our classified staff, our non-teaching staff, and kind of review those things tomorrow. We're essentially, some of our pay schedules, for example, like playground assistant, lunchroom assistant, the difference in pays are 10 cents, 20 cents. There's a lot of nuances with it, and so we're looking at combining some schedules together into one category. Basically allows us flexibility, so someone's not, okay, you want to work lunchroom, or you are a teaching assistant, or you're a library person, putting them on the same schedule, that way someone can have additional hours than 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day type of thing. We can combine positions and have the same individual doing multiple jobs.
It's gonna be a
At
lot
the same
easier
rate
to
of pay.
find people when you're not just asking people to work for 2 hours in the middle of the day.
That's part of the thought behind it.
Yeah, and some flexibility for us, you know,
Oh, yeah.
to do, and that makes it easier on payroll.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's such a nightmare to go, you know, you need to jump from one category to another, so just to have some
There were
flexibility.
22 different pay scales.
Yeah, that's.
Crazy.
So if they are doing multiple jobs, which I kind of see sometimes with
Yes.
approval of personnel, then does that kind of bump them into, you know, different, like, let's say, coverage for insurance and, but they're on different schedules? I don't know.
Yes, so it's, if you work 27 hours a week or more, you qualify for benefits.
Okay.
At 20 hours, you qualify for benefits, but it's very expensive, and pretty much, we have individuals that want the insurance, but they don't make enough to cover the premium, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But 27 is kind of the threshold of qualifying for insurance that's approved.
Right.
So it'll give us a lot more flexibility with staffing, and then it'll be an increase in pay. Some of these things, $11, $12 an hour, you know, which minimum wages, Iowa's now 10.10, so and we're putting together some analysis comparing to other districts to see where we fall, which is very challenging. I don't know if we're having it ready for tomorrow, but I'm trying to get some information together, but, you know, some districts have 4 different secretary categories and 5 different maintenance categories. And you have a groundskeeper, you have longevity, you get 41 cents an hour more if you're here 10 years or more. And so it's like, looking at just 9 different districts, you got 12 different ways to slice it. It's very hard to really analyze, if that makes sense.
It seems like we're always posting for those positions, and a lot of times people are already here, they might be driving bus, but they could do this, and yeah.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, so you can't contract someone for more than 8 hours a day. So, you know, a bus driver who works before and after school, if they work the whole day too, they're gonna go over 8 hours.
Yeah,
So it's like, we'll work, then leave for a couple hours, come back, and leave, it's tricky, so
Right.
that's always a challenge. And you have to hit overtime status, and they have multiple jobs at different pays, you have to do a blend of the overtime rate between the jobs. You can't just say, well, bus driver took you over, so that's when we do time and a half on. No, you have to just factor in, I work 3 hours at this job, 2 hours at this job, and the whole complicated calculation, and nobody understands what you're getting paid. So
Right,
it's,
I understand.
We're trying to make it easy.
Yeah,
Try to-
right, makes sense.
So we'll discuss more of that tomorrow night, executive session, kind of go more into the detail. Because we still have to share it with OPSI and
Yeah.
get their thoughts too, so it's kind of the back and forth process. Wanted to have a little bit of discussion about the 20-mil floor, as we're hearing more and more. We're getting close to the reappraisal coming up for this tax year effective in calendar year 2025. I figured it was a good time to continue those discussions, and I was going to point out a couple of things, just to make sure that everyone truly understands what it is, how to explain it, and then kind of just brainstorm on how we communicate that as a district moving forward. So the first page, this yellow one here, is it's a slide from, I've been doing going with the trustees and giving updates on a regular basis, working on those currently. And this is a slide that basically lists all of our current levies. So the, general fund millage, we have the inside millage, you have the cumulative levies through 1976, which is House 1920 in effect. There's a 1980 current expense levy, 1986 current expense levy, 2009 substitute levy, and a 2017 current expense levy for total general fund millage effective rate of 26.67 mils. And we have the permanent improvement fund, which is currently collecting at 1.96, and then the debt from Parkside and Riverview, which is 1.45, for a total effective millage of 30.08 mils. Now, the 20 mil floor is basically a floor so the effective millage, you take your effective millage of your current expense levies and your inside millage. So if you look at the general fund millage is 26.67 mils, you back out the substitute levy, because that doesn't count towards the floor, so you're at 22.99 mils is where we're at currently for this tax year. With those levies, they're subject to House Bill 920, except for inside millage. Inside millage always goes up as values goes up. The voted levy, current expense levies, which are also called fixed rate levies, but the effective rate changes, which is kind of a weird term, but that's how they do things, I think they make it more complicated. But as, you know, typically on those current expense levies, as valuations go up, tax rates go down, until you hit the 20 mil floor. And that's, once you hit the 20 mil floor, any increase beyond that on those voted levies kind of works like inside millage. There's a direct correlation between the valuation. So it generates an increase in that.
So now, are these continuing levies?
Everything on here is
Yeah.
continuous.
Oh, okay.
Except for the debt levy, which
The
is
debt one, yeah.
is a 37-year levy, so I mean, it's continuous basically until, I think it's in effect till 2050
Yeah,
something.
right.
We'll all be retired.
Yeah.
Before that. So the second page, this one here is actually a calculation I put together that I'm sure that you remember, to kind of talk about what does that really mean? Like, you know, there's 3 districts in Lake County, which Will, East Lake, Kirtland, and Perry are already at the 20 mil floor. So if values go up 30%, they're going to generate substantial additional property tax revenue because all those levies will generate 30% more. We're about 20% away from the 20 mil floor before we hit it, and obviously we're projecting at Auditor Galloway said 31% is kind of what he figures it's going to be. We'll know more later this calendar year. And so, because we're not there yet, it makes it even more complicated to figure out what's the true impact on a taxpayer. And so the top portion of the spreadsheet basically shows where we're at currently for this tax year, and then based on a 30% increase, what we think where we're going to be if it's a 30% increase in valuation. What also makes it a little more complicated is you have what's called the 10% rollback. So the state pays 10% of your property tax bill on your behalf, and also 2.5% owner
The unpacked box, it's about time to get rid of it.
That's it.
I did that last week.
I know.
My wife's rule is not the same though, so it's,
Yeah, we did that one, yeah.
And then the modular classroom at Buckeye, is that done?
it's up and running.
It's up and running, so it's occupied and all's good?